Hello everyone, and welcome to the review of the newest ENGWE P26. As the name suggests, this is a 26-inch wheel e-bike from ENGWE, and this is again a different model from what they usually do, because they make massive fat bikes with lots of motor watts power and things like that. But this one is actually a light commuter e-bike, which has a very interesting design, the shape, and it has a humble, let's call it 250 watt motor, but that's a secret. We'll call it that way for now. The bike, because it's sold in several countries and several continents, will come in Europe limited to 25 kilometers per hour with no working throttle here, so this is just for show off because it doesn't do anything. Power is limited to 250, but like all ENGWE bikes, this one can be modded out and can be unlocked for a bit of extra surprise. And now I'm going to jump directly to technical details. So it comes with a 36-volt battery, but it has a big capacity of 17 amp hour, and the motor is rated for 250 watts and produces 40 Newton meter. The bike can be unlocked, of course, and the power will go to a peak about of 800 watts of power, so plenty of power to accelerate, and the speed will go to about 35 kilometers per hour top speed. There is also a newest version of this e-bike, comes with a smaller capacity battery but higher voltage, and that model might be a bit faster when it's fully unlocked, but that's only for the US market. I'm going to try to link both models somewhere in the video below, information box there, so you can check them out. First thing that is going to catch your eye is the shape of the frame. The frame has a, I'm going to call it for now, weird design, because it has a very tall part there and a lower part here. It's kind of a combination of frames. The front part looks like a downhill bike, the rear part looks like a trekking bike, hardtail bike, something. It's a kind of a mix, but this has actually a very huge advantage for a city bike and a commuting bike, because this gives you a very pleasant ride position, because the seat post can be adjusted pretty much in both ways, so you get a very good posture. And with the handlebar, with the adjusting adapter there, you can make it taller or lower. You can lean it forward or toward it back, and with the frame part there that goes high, it gives you a very comfortable position, because the handlebar is upward, so you don't ride on this like a sports bike when your position is something like that and your back will hurt. Nope, this is just comfort. The bike comes fully equipped with front LED headlamp, reflector, metal mudguard, front metal mudguard, rear mudguard, metal mudguard, rear rack, and of course tail lamp and stop lamp, which also works on brake light, and it has different work modes for braking and for stationary rear light. Because this is no longer a folding e-bikes, we don't get folding pedals, but we get well-go aluminum pedals, which are very solid and have a pretty good surface, and it has some small spikes here, so your feet are not going to slip over. Also, ENGWE did something, because there were some cases when new users that are not accustomed to bikes in general were cross-threading the pedals and saying that there is a problem with these bikes and the pedals are very bad. They actually added clear seen labels here that shows you the direction on which you should rotate this pedal, and it gives you here L for left, and it's printed on the pedal here. It has left here, and it also has left on the thread here on the top of the screw, so there's no mistake now when you install the pedals for the first time. You know how to do it. The bike also has some minor features that actually make a huge difference. For instance, the motor cable has a plug here, so when you change the tire or repair a flat tire or change the inner tube, it's going to be very easy for you to take the wheel out, because it's no longer going to be held by the wire, and you don't have to take the wires off from the controller or leave the wheel hanging. You just unplug it and you can take the wheel out and do your thing with it. Then you have the front fork, which has adjustable and lockable springs, so you have preload here and locking function here. That improves the ride comfort, and it can better suit your weight when you ride the bike. The handlebar design is also nice because it has a slight raise, making the handlebar more comfortable. You get the partial twist throttle here. You have these pads here that hold your palm, makes the ride more comfortable. It has 7 speeds Shimano entry-level tourney system, Fuxing brake inhibitor brake levers, so when you touch them they stop the motor, and it comes with the, let's call it, standard ENGWE display that comes also on Engine X, and with the installed controller provides the advanced modding, such as de-restricting the bike speed and power. The in-frame battery can be charged on the bike, but also can be taken away very easy. It comes with a key lock. A key lock doesn't need a key inserted for the battery to work, so you don't need to run the bike with the key held here, but this helps you to take the battery out really easy. The battery is really heavy because of all that capacity, but it also comes in a nice metal cover case, so you can take this with you. Here are some specification in case if you want to check them out. So it has 17 amp hour, 36 volt, and it has a maximum charging current of up to 5 amps, so you could actually fast charge this. The provided charger is 2 amp, so you can go up to 5 amp, but I don't recommend doing that. Another small improvement that makes a huge impact is this cable sleeve that can be removed, that it has Velcro, so you can take this off to wash it because it's made out of stretch textile. This holds all those wires nicely together, no longer showing here a mess of cables, so I really like that, and I like the idea that I can take that out easy to wash it when it becomes dirty. Also, they went with adding rubber inserts where the cables go into the frame to protect them, and that's a very good idea because I've seen a lot of e-bikes that don't have this rubber insert here, and that's a potential danger because you have some wires that transport direct voltage from the battery, which is 42 volts when the battery is fully charged. Then if you do a short circuit, you can blow up the battery, destroy the controller, the bike can catch fire, so it's no joking with this. So having that rubber insert there can be hugely important. The seat post also comes with an adjustable clamp, so you can put the seat post a bit backward, forward, or adjust its angle like on other seats, but I like the idea that I can move this a bit further on to make it closer to the handlebar or put it backward. Depends on your riding style and position. As for the brakes, we get the standard ones, mechanical, single-sided actioning, no hydraulics, nothing, so it's simple stock mechanical ones with 160mm discs, which are generous enough to make you stop rather fast, but don't expect them to be high performing brakes. You know those brakes from all the ENGWE models except the ones that come with full hydraulic brakes. A thing that I like very much is also the kickstand, because this is very solid, very thick, and holds the bike really well. And it also has a rear screw here, so I think that you can potentially adjust its height to make the bike more stable, or to make it to stay more lean to one side. I haven't tried that, but I think that is its function. Nonetheless, I like it because it's not only solid, but I had several e-bikes that had kickstand like this one, and when you go over bumps they rattle. This one doesn't make any kind of noise, only if you do something like that, but when you ride it, it's very solid. Alright, so it's time to ride it to see how this works and how it feels. Today I'm having a backpack that weighs about 3 kilograms with gear, so you know the dynamics. I weigh about 85 kilograms, so you can assess better how this performs when going uphill, when accelerating, or getting downhill. So to start this, you just power it on. There's no key lock, nothing, and it's on. It starts always in zero mode. That means no assistance, no power, nothing. So it's regular bike. Also, I need to mention that the motor is a geared motor, so this has no resistance when you go forward. So it's like just like a regular bike, and it spins forever and ever and ever and ever. So you don't lose power when you are not using power. It's not braking, but it doesn't have regenerative braking because of that. But that gives you better torque when you go uphill with a bike that has limited power. And I'm going to select gear 1, and let's see what this does. Oh, the motor assistant started right away, but I need to go on first gear because this is kind of rough terrain. Oh, this feels pretty good, but considering that I'm on first gear, definitely this is a bike that is not meant for climbing up very steep hills, because it would have benefited from either a bigger rear gear or slightly lower chain first gear or crank gear. But if this feels okay, now I'm going slightly uphill. Let's see second assisted gear. You can feel that this is a bit faster. Let's see the third one. It's getting up speed. And I'm on top of the hill. Fourth gear, fifth gear, and because I have full battery and acceleration enabled, let's see the top speed. So I'm already doing 33, 34. I'm no longer accelerating. Now I'm accelerating again to hold the speed. This is flat here, so it has stabilized around 32, but now I need to brake. So the top speed is around 35 as specified. And now let's check the climbing capability. So I'm going to go on fifth gear here, where I have the maximum speed. I'm at the foot of a very steep incline, so I'm not going to use any pedaling, just electric power. And I'm already doing 30-40 kilometers per hour, 15. I hope that you can see the screen. This is very readable in daylight, but might not be seeable on my camera. So I'm doing 30 now, 12. But I'm going to tell you why this is important to test it this way. So it's doing 12, and now it's going to start to accelerate and get more speed because the incline is over. Well, the idea is that you cannot go uphill in this area with electric scooter or e-bikes that have direct drive and only 250 watts of power, because that's not sufficient for them to go up. So you need something that has larger peak power or truly more power than my big glare. And this bike goes uphill in that area with no problem whatsoever. The front suspension works nicely. Cannot say the same things about the rear suspension, because you know that there is no rear suspension. Nonetheless, the bike is really nice with this geometry that it has. The acceleration is also pretty good for its power rating. And now let's test some off-roading. As you can see, the braking is very good. It has a lot of braking power, so you can stop pretty good. And actually it does pretty good on this terrain. but if there are too many bumps, the rear wheel gets a bit off the ground and you start losing traction, and this is way too steep for going even in assisted full power and first gear. I cannot do it, so I need to take this a bit sideways. This is too steep for this. And now it comes to the gear, so the bike is really tall geared, so this is good for going on flat roads, going fast, and if you have a good physical condition and you are not very heavy, you can ride this bike pretty fast. And with the assisted mode you can do very good speed, such as 30 km, 35 km per hour without pedaling like a hamster, because you are going to have very slow cadence in top gear, but the first gear is not that good for going uphill. Also, I need to mention that on the screen when you are watching this video, because how the camera distorts the image, you are not going to see the true nature of this hill angle, so it's not going to be that tall on the video. Also, the terrain is very soft, covered with some old grass. We had a lot of precipitations, and this is kind of mud covered with grass, so I don't have traction, and it's very soft, so the wheels are sinking into it, so keep that also in mind. Nonetheless, the ride is pretty good, and I like how the front suspension works. I haven't adjusted it in any kind of ways, it just works as it is. It does the job very good. And there's another thing that I like very much about this. Just listen to this, and also listen to this, exactly this. So you are probably just going to hear the wind noise, because this bike is almost silent. It only has a minor ticking noise of the front suspension when it extends back to the maximum, and that's it, and just a slight motor noise, and of course the clicking sound of the rear cassette, which is normal for all the bikes. But nonetheless, otherwise from this is a very silent bike. I also like very much the motor, because being geared with one-way clutch, it doesn't have any kind of rolling resistance, so you can go on and on forever. So I'm doing 20 kilometers per hour without pedaling, without using anything else. It just goes and goes and goes, and if you pedal a few times again and get some speed and leave it that way, now it's also going to go and not stop, because it has no rolling braking resistance from the motor. And this, combined with the assisted mode, makes this bike have a huge possible range. So the declared range is about 100 kilometers, and I actually believe that I can do more than that with this e-bike if you run it normally, so use lower assisted modes, pedal it and glide as much as possible, like this. When you are actually coasting, you are not using anything. Only power that is draining is the display here. The ride on the bike is also very good. It has good stability, have good maneuverability. It's very stable, but you can also take very sharp turns with it. This is not like a fat bike anyway. It's a lot more nimble, and if you use your legs to accelerate, it has a kind of a sporty ride. Another nice thing about this bike is that having such a big battery, that also means that it doesn't have a large voltage drop that happens on smaller batteries that use lesser cells in parallel. So even when you are fully accelerating with this e-bike, you don't see here a voltage drop like you see on other models, when the battery gauge goes down when you accelerate and then goes up when you release the throttle. No, this is always full, and I already have 10 kilometers done with this battery, and there's no discharge visible here, so it's still showing full, and you get the constant and even acceleration and top speed because you don't suffer the voltage drop, because voltage drop is an enemy of top speed and of acceleration. So you don't lose any of those, you just have the same performance, while only the top speed will gradually go down as the voltage from the battery goes down when the battery discharges. But for now, you get full performance even when the battery is no longer full. But actually, this is still full after 10 kilometers per hour, 10 kilometers done. So the range and the performance of the battery are great for this type of e-bike. And now you have seen how this bike rides and how it handles, and it's time for the final conclusion. Personally, I like the ride quality and how this bike feels. I like it a lot because of the position and the frame model. It gives you very good stability, it gives you comfort because you have a nice position to ride. Front suspension works very good, brakes are decent, you get additional storage space there. There's no mud on your legs, on your clothes or everything else because of the mud guards. So from that point of view, I really like it a lot. I also like how the motor handles. In this video the bike was unlocked, so you can see that it performs really nice, more than decent. It got some climbing power, it gets a bit of extra speed, so that is really nice. The battery is very good and it holds a charge for a very long range. The bike rolls really easy with the 26 inch wheels, with the geared motor. There's no resistance when you go, and that saves a lot of power. So you can even ride this bike as a normal bike because it doesn't feel like an e-bike. You don't feel the extra weight of the battery and the motor. But you know from my videos that there is no perfect product, and every time there is a con or some neutrals. I'm going to start with the neutral part of this. The gearing, the chosen gears are too high, so if you ride this only on flat terrain with no climbing and you have a good physical condition, you can ride this very fast. You can ride it on top speed. You can do comfortable over 30 kilometers per hour just by pedaling, because you are not going to pedal too fast. You will have a very slow cadence, so if you have leg power, this will go very fast. Otherwise, if you have some climbs to do or a lot of start-stops, you are going to wish to have at least a lower chain ring in the front, a few tooths lower. That will be a huge improvement on this bike and it will help you a lot. And last but not least, the con is the seat, because this seat, because it's sporty, it has not a lot of cushioning, especially on the sides. Here it's directly plastic or metal or whatever, and it's going to break your butt and it's going to hurt you after. I'm doing almost 20 kilometers today on this, so after 20 kilometers I already am a bit hurt by this seat, so this has to be changed. Especially if you want to commute with this bike every day, you are going to change that because it's going to torture you. Second con is also related to the seat. The seat post, it's kind of short and it has this minimum insertion, which is also at extreme, so you may end up getting a new seat and a new seat post, because if you are a taller person, you are going to need to put the seat higher than the minimum insert. So get a longer seat post to be able to fit the tube and to be secured, and with another seat, and this will be golden for you. And probably the last thing is also a neutral, is there is no key lock for the bike, so you just turn it on or off from this push button. So when you leave it somewhere locked up, regardless of how well locked up it is, if someone wants to play with it, it can turn it on, turn it off, accelerate it or whatever if you leave the battery on. Of course, you have a key lock here, you can take the battery with you, and then the bike will not be so interesting for thieves or for other persons to play with it, because it doesn't have a battery, so it's not functional. So that was it for now. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. Be sure to follow my next uploads, where I'm going to show you some details, more details about this bike. I'm going to show you how to unlock it and how to enable the throttle, because if you are from Europe, you are going to get the bike with the throttle disabled and also with the speed limit set on. It's rather simple to do. You are just going to follow some easy steps, and those are going to be available on my channel very soon. Until then, see you and bye bye.